Welcome to the 2021 online rules meeting for bowling. This presentation, understandably, will be longer than those in the past. Additional information will be presented throughout as it relates to the pandemic that we are facing. While I don't expect that you will view this meeting more than once, you should keep a copy of the 2021 Coaches Manual with you at all times. There is also a link included several times during this presentation that is also included in the manual on several occasions. This link provides information. When you click on this link, you will have information that continues to be updated throughout the season as it relates to COVID and interscholastic participation. You will always want to check this link at least weekly to see if there's any changes in regard to bowling and interscholastic participation for this school season. To assist you with viewing this presentation, you should not attempt to view this online rules meeting from a Chrome device or a tablet. It is better to utilize a laptop or desktop computer. All coaches will access the online state rules meetings through their myOHSAA accounts. If you are viewing this, you should have the proper account. Please do not contact the OHSAA office in regard to receiving credit for this meeting. Your athletic administrator will be able to check to see that you have viewed this meeting. At the bottom of the previous slide, you are also reminded that black bottoms are required as part of the uniform moving forward as relates to bowling. Regarding COVID-19, first of all, I hope you stay safe and that your bowlers stay safe. You will need to continue to communicate with your athletic administrator during this pandemic. The OHSAA also continues to update member schools with administrator updates that are posted on the front page of the OHSAA website under COVID-19 information. Here is a link to that information. I'm Roxanne Price, and I'm the administrator responsible for the sport of bowling. I want to make sure that you get proper credit. So let's talk about which team you coach. Did you indicate whether you were a coach for the boys team, the girls team, or a coach for both teams? If the boys and girls team has separate coaching staffs, a member of each respective staff must view an online rules meeting. There are individuals that provide invaluable assistance when it comes to bowling, and two such individuals are Fran Miller, and her email address is indicated here, as well as Greg Koulis, and Greg is also the president of the Bowling Coaches Association. Again, I am Roxanne Price, and assisting me at the OHSAA with bowling is Brenda Murray. Formerly, Andrea Heiberger assisted with bowling, but she is no longer with the OHSAA. Also, there will be someone who will be assigned to bowling moving forward, and that individual will be indicated at a later date. So there will be a change in the administrator responsible for bowling at the OHSAA. Let's talk about the OHSAA's mission statement. That mission statement is to serve our member schools and enrich interscholastic opportunities for students. There are eligibility requirements that a student must fulfill in order to participate in interscholastic athletics. These requirements and determining whether a student meets these requirements is a responsibility of your athletic administrator. The student has academic requirements, residency requirements, which means the student must have a parent who resides in Ohio or meet an exception to that bylaw. If a student is a transfer student, the student must meet a transfer exception in order to be eligible for the entire season, and there's also an age and semester requirement. Let's talk about the out-of-state regulation, which has actually changed for the 2020-21 school year and subsequent years. It is less restrictive moving forward. School teams and individuals may travel to a contiguous or a bordering state to compete without restriction during the school season. So you may travel to a bordering state to compete in contests. School teams and individuals may only travel to compete in a non-bordering state once a school season, irrespective of the loss of school time, and that is what is new for 2021. Prior to this school year, you cannot travel to a non-bordering state unless you missed no school time. Now school teams can travel to a non-bordering state once a season while missing school time, provided it is permissible to do so by the school system or the school district. Let's look at important dates for the 2021 bowling season. October 30th, 2020 is when you may have tryouts and coaching and instruction may begin. You may not have tryouts prior to October 30th, 2020. November 13th, 2020 is when the regular season may begin for both Division I and Division II. January 18th, 2021, and you see that it's highlighted. January 18th, 2021. That is the non-interscholastic date for both Division I and Division II. And if you don't understand the non-interscholastic date, it will be explained further later in this presentation and is also detailed in the bowling regulations as well as the bowling coach's manual. The bowling regulations are also included in the coach's manual. January 25th, 2021. That's the deadline for withdrawing from the bowling championships, and it's also the deadline from entering the state tournament if your athletic director has not already done so. January 25th, 2021 is the deadline for withdrawing from or entering the state tournament without penalty. Remember that much of this information is also included in your coach's manual. Tournament dates for Division II. The sectional tournament for Division II is scheduled to be held from February 7th through the 14th. Now remember, and you see a pound here, unless an earlier date is established by your respective district athletic board. So the sectional tournament could start as early as February 5th because the district athletic board can start the tournament as early as 2 days prior to the established scheduled date. So February 5th through the 14th could be your sectional tournament. The district tournament for Division II is scheduled for February 14th through the 21st. The girls' state tournament for Division II is scheduled for Friday, February 26, 2021. The boys' state tournament for Division II is scheduled for Saturday, February 27, 2021. The OHSAA tournament dates for Division I are as follows. The sectional tournament for Division I is scheduled for February 14th through the 21st, but remember, an earlier date may be established by your respective district athletic boards. So February 12th could be the date on which the sectional tournament for Division I begins. So February 12th through the 21st are the actual dates for which the Division I sectional tournament may be held. District tournament for Division I is scheduled for February 21st through February 28th. The Division I state tournament, the girls' state tournament, is scheduled for Friday, March 5th, 2021, and the boys' state tournament for Friday, March 6th, 2021. We are currently in a pandemic, so please understand that no decision has been made at the time of this recording as it relates to spectator attendance at events involving member schools. It may be that no spectators will be permitted at some events or any events. The spectator policy will be communicated to school administrators as we progress through the bowling season. We will adhere to the Department of Health policies while determining what is best for students to be able to continue to participate throughout the season. Here is a link that will provide information to correspondence as it relates to COVID-19, and that correspondence is updated frequently. Bowling is a sport that has no scrimmages permitted because we added regular season contests to the schedule. So interscholastic scrimmages are not permitted. In lieu of scrimmages, the number of interscholastic contests have been increased to 24 from 22 initially. All interscholastic contests count toward the 24 contest limitation. All interscholastic contests count towards the 24 contest limitation for both the team and the individual. No school team and no individual may bowl in more than 24 contests. Thus, if you have an individual going back and forth between a JV and a varsity team, you have to make sure that individual does not bowl in more than 24 school contests. Contests must be bowled in accordance with OHSAA regulations, which means you can't participate and students can't participate in singles-only tournaments. We'll talk about a waiver process for non-interscholastic matches a little bit later, but again, if you've read your manual prior to viewing this online meeting, this information will click more for you. A change for this bowling season due to the pandemic. For this, the 2020-21 school season, and let's hope that there is no pandemic when we have the 21-22 school season, but for this school season, no more than 6 bowlers may be in uniform and in the participant area during a school contest. No more than 6 bowlers may be in uniform and in the participant area during a school contest. You may continue to have more than 6 bowlers on your team roster, but no more than 6 may participate in any contest at any given time. Should this pandemic no longer be a concern in regard to the Ohio Department of Health, this regulation may be reconsidered. But at the current time, no more than 6 bowlers may be in uniform and in the participant area during the school contest. We will continue to review how many coaches may be in the area, but currently no more than 2 coaches. The non-interscholastic competition regulation is a regulation that affects and impacts individuals in all 26 of the OHSAA sanctioned sports. A member of a school-sponsored squad, that's a member of your school team, may participate on a non-school squad or in a non-school league prior to and after the conclusion of the school season. And the school season may be different for each of you because your school season may not start November 13th because you may not have your first contest till November 30th. Thus, a student does not become a member of your school team until they participate in the first school contest. Once a student athlete participates in a match or a contest for their school-sponsored team, non-interscholastic competition, which means adult leagues, youth leagues, scholarship tournaments, etc., Pepsi tournament, all those must cease. So see the exception indicated in the coach's manual, and additional information will be presented during this presentation. So once a student athlete participates in a match or a contest for their school-sponsored team, non-interscholastic competition, which is adult leagues, youth leagues, all those things that are not part of your schedule, must cease. If a school team member wants to participate in a non-interscholastic event and join the school-sponsored team at a later date, maybe they don't want to join your team to December 15th. This is permissible, provided the team member joins the team and stops participation in these non-interscholastic bowling events before January 18, 2021 in order to participate in the OHSAA state tournament. So anyone can join your team at a later date, but if they're still bowling on January 18, 2021 non-interscholastically and haven't received a waiver, they may join your team on the 20th, January 20th, but they're not participating in the OHSAA state tournament. And again, this is in your manual as well. So any student who bowls on or after the non-interscholastic date, January 18th, 2021, in a non-interscholastic event is ineligible for the state tournament unless a waiver for such participation has been pre-approved by our office. Unless a waiver for such participation has been pre-approved by our office. At no time may a member of the school team bowl in a non-interscholastic, which is a non-school event, during the bowling season once they have bowled for a school team unless a non-interscholastic waiver has been pre-approved. So if you start bowling on November 15th and the student bowls on November 15th, they cannot bowl in any non-school event unless they receive a waiver from our office, and we only permit 2 such waivers, and those waivers and that event had to be bowled by a particular date. Again, more information is available. Non-school bowling includes charity contests, scholarship events, faculty student days, alumni events, etc. that are not part of the 24 regular season contest school schedule. That is not part of your school schedule. So the best thing to tell your student athletes once they have bowled for your school team is that they're done bowling non-interscholastically. And then if they say, well, coach, I want to bowl in this Pepsi tournament, look to see the parameters outlined in the interscholastic waiver to see if a waiver can be granted for at least 2 events once they have bowled for your school team. Let's discuss the exception to the non-interscholastic participation rule, and again this is outlined in the coach's manual. Students may participate in 2 non-school contest events while a member of the school bowling team
provided the student has received an approved waiver from the OHSAA Executive Director's Office prior to the non-interscholastic participation. They have to get the waiver and approved waiver before they participate. And please, and the ADs are the ones who submit these waivers, not coaches, not students, not parents, and please not parents. And please provide ample time to review the waiver, sign it, and submit it back to the athletic administrator. So students may participate in 2 non-school contest events while a member of the school bowling team, provided the student has received an approved waiver from the OHSAA Executive Director's Office prior to the non-interscholastic participation. The non-interscholastic contest event must have a clearly defined start and end date and must conclude within 7 days of the start date. It can't be an event that lasts more than 7 days. No waiver will be granted for participation in a non-interscholastic contest event that occurs on or after January 25th, 2021. That's the deadline for granting waivers. No, January 24th is, because any event that occurs on or after January 25th, 2021 will not receive a waiver. Remember, there is still a non-interscholastic date, January 18, 2021, on which a student will become ineligible if the student participates non-interscholastic without an approved waiver. This happens when individuals may transfer to your school and they've been out there bowling and they don't join your school team to January 20th, January 21st, and you find out that they bowled on January 18th, January 19th. Well, if they weren't ever a member of a school team, they couldn't have violated the non-interscholastic rule, but because they bowled on or after the non-interscholastic date, they cannot bowl in the OHSAA state tournament because since they weren't a member of a school team, no one would have requested a waiver for them. So again, this is explained and outlined in the bowling regulations and in the bowling coaches manual. So I will repeat, there is still a date on which no non-interscholastic participation may occur on or after that date, unless a waiver has been pre-approved. The date, January 18th, 2021. If a student participates non-interscholastically on or after this date without having received prior approval from the OHSAA through the waiver process, that student shall be ineligible for the OHSAA tournament. No student may request a waiver for a contest that starts on or extends beyond January 25th, 2021. The point of the non-interscholastic rule is that once you become a member of the school team, all other non-school bowling, with the exception of pure open bowling at a center, must cease. No outside competition permitted unless a waiver has been pre-approved. There is a link to the non-interscholastic waiver form on the OHSAA bowling page. You can find it on the left-hand side. This is a sample from last year, but the form is similar. It's just the dates have changed. The previous slide showed the bowling waiver form that is on the OHSAA website. The current bowling waiver form is on the OHSAA website. The next slide will display a copy of the 1920 bowling page from the OHSAA website as information for 2021 continues to be updated. If you review this online rules meeting close to the deadline, you will see more updated information on the 2021 bowling page. Continue to check the bowling page for updates, including regarding tournament information. www.ohsaa.org is the website. Highlight sports and tournaments and click on the bowling page. The bowling waiver form can be located on the bowling page on the left-hand side, and the athletic director or other appropriate school administrator must submit a properly completed bowling waiver form. Please do not submit the bowling waiver form for your student athletes or have the student or parent submit that form. This is a screenshot of last season's bowling page. You can find updated information here for the 2021 school season, and here you can see what type of information is included on the bowling page, including the bowling regulations, the coach's manual, the non-interscholastic waiver form, uniform regulations, etc.
You don't have to worry about a no contact period for bowling as coaches in other sports like basketball and soccer would have to worry, because there is no contact period for bowling. Boys and girls bowling have been classified as individual sports by the Ohio High School Athletic Association. There is no restriction regarding out-of-season contact between bowling coaches and their squad members, with one exception. You cannot make this out-of-season contact mandatory or this out-of-season participation. You cannot require someone on your bowling team or who wants to be on the school bowling team to participate outside of the school season and make that participation mandatory. You cannot indicate that a student's chances of making the school team is greater if they participate with you outside of the school season. Again, high school bowling coaches cannot mandate that a high school athlete be required to participate in any bowling activity out of season as a prerequisite of eligibility or participation on a high school team. This regulation is relatively new and applies to all of the OHSAA sponsored sports. And it's the school responsibility when hosting a contest. A relatively new OHSAA bylaw requires that all practices, games, previews, and other interscholastic athletic contests shall be under the direct sponsorship and supervision of the schools involved and shall be the financial responsibility of such schools. Dual matches are typically under the supervision of the home school coach. Tournaments in which your school team participates must have a site director, manager designated to oversee the operations of the tournament. This would include emergency action plans, safety concerns, crowd control, etc. The site director manager must be a representative in an OHSAA member school. The individual may be a member school coach. Again, this applies to all sports, so hopefully your athletic director can provide guidance to you. So let's review this a bit more. Sponsorship of interscholastic contests involving member schools. Questions which need answers. Who from a member school has responsibility to determine how revenue from the tournament is being allocated? Who is a member school representative responsible for determining that emergency action plans are available and adhered to? Who is responsible for ensuring crowd control and the safety of participants? This is what I would recommend. Assign a coach whose school team utilizes a bowling facility as an individual responsible pursuant to the bylaw. If it is a tournament that is in a facility where no team participates in that facility, then it's going to have to be determined who is going to be responsible in accordance with the bylaw for that event. I'm going to talk a bit about regular season matches. First of all, a match must be a minimum of 2 regular games and a minimum of 2 Baker games. So if you play a dual match, you must play it in this way: a minimum of 2 regular games and a minimum of 2 Baker games. You can bowl more games, but it requires a prior permission of the competing schools. There are 24 matches maximum. You may not bowl in more than 24 matches during a school season, and an individual may not bowl in more than 24 school matches. Those non-interscholastic matches for which a student receives a waiver are non-interscholastic, so they don't count in a 24 school match maximum because a student doesn't need a waiver to participate in a school match. They just must be eligible in every respect. All Baker game tournaments are permissible, which means you can play in a tournament that only participates Baker games. No limit on the number of tournaments in which you may participate, but you may not participate in more than 24 matches. So as long as the season limitation is not exceeded, there is no limit on tournaments. The postseason OHSAA tournament does not count in a 24-match season limitation. Each tournament counts as a match. Now here's the exception. If the tournament is a multi-day tournament, then each day of the tournament counts as one match. So you can't play in a 3-day tournament and count it only as one match. You have to count it as 3 matches. Now, if you have a tournament that is head-to-head versus field of play, which means Team A plays Team B and Team C plays Team D, that's head-to-head. Each time you go head-to-head, that's a match. Except if you start off with a field of play where everybody starts off bowling at the same time, like we do at our state tournament. So if you have a field of play element and then you end up head-to-head to determine a team champion, that also is one school match, as long as it's not more than one day. So multi-day tournaments count as the number of days of the tournament, and head-to-head, only head-to-head, each time you go head-to-head, if you only go head-to-head during the entire tournament, is a match. If you go field of play and end up head-to-head, that's one match. No singles only tournament is permitted. You must bowl matches in accordance with the OHSAA regulations. So you can't take your entire team and they bowl in a singles tournament, because it has to be an all Baker game tournament, or it has to be a minimum of 2 regular games and a minimum of 2 Baker games. Counting to 24. Contests with multiple teams. One contest on one day that has multiple teams, like a tri-match, a quad match, etc., that counts as one match or one contest, provided the teams competing are competing against the entire field and not competing head-to-head in dual matches. This type of competition is considered field of play. So contests with multiple teams on a single day, a tri-match or quad match, count as one contest, provided the teams competing are competing against the entire field and not competing head-to-head in dual matches. This type of competition is considered field of play. These matches have but one winner. Teams then vie for second and third place, etc. The winner has won but one bowling contest. Your won-loss record should not reflect more than 24 contests participated in. It is permissible to bowl in a tournament that consists of only Baker games. It is permissible to bowl in a tournament that consists of only Baker games. These tournaments must consist of no fewer than 5 school teams in each respective level division. So maybe you have a varsity division and a JV division. These tournaments must consist of no fewer than 5 teams in each respective level division. So 5 boys teams, 5 girls teams. No fewer than 6 Baker games may be bowled by each participating team. This is to protect you, because typically these tournaments come at a cost, to make sure that you are at least getting, if you will, your money's worth. No fewer than 6 Baker games may be bowled by each participating team. Both teams, boys teams and girls teams, may not bowl against each other without prior written permission obtained from the OHSAA office. Boys teams and girls teams, whether it be in dual matches or tournaments, may not bowl against each other without prior written permission obtained from the OHSAA office. And you may not combine boys and girls teams to reach the minimum total of 5 teams. It has to be 5 boys and 5 girls teams as indicated. These tournaments must consist of no fewer than 5 teams in each respective level division. No singles only tournaments. Team tournaments only are permitted.
For the 2020-21 school season, amidst this pandemic, there should be an expectation that the number of school teams that will be permitted to bowl in a facility at one time may be limited during this pandemic. We are working through with the Department of Health and the Governor's Office what this limit may look like. Do not expect 40-team tournaments for the 2021 bowling season in a 40-lane facility. The limit may be 50% of the lane capacity or less. The limit may be more than 50%. Practice social distancing. As of a few years ago, competition is now permitted between boys bowling teams and girls bowling teams on a case-by-case basis. This competition is permitted only when the Executive Director's Office and the administrator responsible for bowling issues a waiver prior to the competition occurring. The proper school administrator must make a request for this competition prior to the competition between a boys bowling team and a girls bowling team. A bowling team with a boy on it is a boys bowling team. Such contests shall count toward the 24 contest season limitation.
I'm going to talk about lineups. Regular games. A coach may change his or her team lineup, the order of bowling, who bowls first, who bowls second, etc. A coach may change his or her team lineup, the order of bowling, prior to the start of any game or any match. Prior to the start of any game or match. Please know and understand the substitution rule. A coach may substitute a player at will before or during a game. So if you take out the third bowler, you're substituting someone for the third bowler. A coach may substitute a player at will before or during a game. Please review 1.5. Also review the partial game score language. Conferences may determine their own regulations in order to determine students or bowlers' average. The OHSAA does not compute a bowler's average, nor is an average used for any type of awards, etc.
Did you note in the previous slide that a lineup during this pandemic is now limited to 6 bowlers uniformed at any one time? So the substitution rule. A bowler who is subbed in any game must remain out for the remainder of that game. Since there are only 6 bowlers, that 6th bowler is the first sub. Thus, there is no additional bowler that can now sub into that same game. Because there is not another eligible bench player or sub available for that respective game, if an additional student needs to be subbed into the game, that team must complete the game with one less bowler. So because you don't have a sub and you took a bowler out, you have 4 bowlers. And the vacated spot will receive a score of 0 for frames or part of a frame not bowled. This, of course, will affect the total pin count, and contests are determined by total pin count. There will be partial game scores. For the games that follow, so the next game, this happened in your first game or your second game, so for the next game, the second or the third game, just as indicated in the substitution policy, a team may again field a team with a full complement of bowlers, which is 5 to start that game. To reiterate, team roster size during this pandemic for any given contest will be limited to 6 bowlers in uniform and in the participant area. 5 plus 1 equals 6, because you have 5 individuals shown below. At the time of this recording, no more than 2 coaches. At the time of this recording, and this is being recorded on October 11th, at the time of this recording, no more than 2 coaches, and this may be further restricted to 1 coach. So stay updated, and links have been provided for administrator updates to keep you updated during this pandemic.
Again, the OHSAA does not record bowler averages. We do not use the average to determine any OHSAA awards, etc. We're looking at total pin count when it comes to who wins a match, who wins a game, etc. Conferences, leagues have the freedom to calculate a bowler's average as they wish. OHSAA substitution rules have not changed. Partial game scores may not be credited to any bowler when determining individual advancement or awards in OHSAA matches or tournaments. So partial game scores may not be credited to any bowler when determining individual advancement or awards. Baker games. And for Baker games, the 10 frames are bowled on the same lane, and you alternate lanes for the next Baker game. A coach may change his or her lineup, which is the order of bowling, prior to the start of any Baker game. The substitution rules outlined previously also apply. A team will bowl 10 frames of a Baker game on the same lane and alternate lanes for the next Baker game.
Regarding the previous slide, did you note that changing lanes may be revised during this pandemic? It is expected that during tournaments, the teams will change lanes less frequently during a tournament, and we will revisit what will occur during Baker contests. Interrupted games matches. A match contest called for any reason where a winner cannot be determined will be treated as a suspended contest. If a contest is to be completed, it is to be continued from the point of suspension or the point of interruption, with the lineup of each team exactly the same. The pin count shall be the same. If the pin count cannot be agreed upon, the last officially recorded pin count shall be official. Match or contest play shall resume from an agreed upon frame and pin count.
This is important. A match that is not started, a contest that is not started, no team has bowled, no one threw a ball. A contest that is not started is considered a no contest, not a forfeiture. It is not a forfeiture during the regular season if a team fails to show. It is simply a no contest. A match that never starts does not count in season limitations. It does not count in your won-loss record because it is a no contest. See the bowling sports regulation that applies to no contest. It seems like each year we have an issue with tiebreakers and individuals not knowing the tiebreak procedure. Tiebreakers for a team. Ties for team match or team contest, total pins, and the advancement of teams in tournaments and or the placement of teams on brackets will be broken by a 9th and 10th frame roll-off between one player one player from each team selected by each respective head coach. This roll-off, utilizing the same two players, no substituting, utilizing the same two players, will be repeated until the tie is broken. The winner of a coin toss will determine the starting lane and who bowls the ninth frame first. But please know and understand the tie-break procedure. No individual Baker game shall end in a tie in head-to-head Baker game competition that advances teams on brackets or in tournaments. In the event of a tie in a Baker game, the tie will be broken by a 9th and 10th frame roll-off between one player from each team. There are times when you need to determine how to break a tie between individuals in regard to awards and advancement. Ties for advancement awards in individual competition, which can occur in a state championship series because individuals also advance. Ties for advancement awards in individual competition will be broken based on the high game bowled in the series being used to determine advancement awards. So if individuals bowl 3 regular games, it's the individual with the highest game that's how the tie is broken. So ties for advancement awards in individual competition will be broken based on the high game bowled in the series being used to determine advancement awards. Should this also result in a tie, there will be a 9th and 10th frame roll-off until the tie is broken. For the initial tiebreaker, the winner of a coin toss will select his or her starting lane and who bowls first. Bowlers will rotate lanes for the 10th frame and any additional frames. There are no individual matches or competitions, but rather individuals who as a part of a team may win an award or individuals who may advance during the OHSAA tournament in order to determine the individual high bowler as part of the team competition.
There are no individual matches or contests, but rather individuals who, as part of a team, may win an award or individuals who may advance without their team during the OHSAA tournament series. In order to determine the individual high bowler as part of the actual team competition, but it's a team competition, and an individual bowler may advance and become the state champion.
Remember, there is a 24 contest season limitation, and this applies to school teams and individuals. Players may be moved between varsity and non-varsity teams at the discretion of the coach, but no student may bowl in both a varsity and non-varsity match being bowled at the exact same time. You cannot go back and forth at a bowling center between varsity and non-varsity when both of those matches are being bowled at the same time. No player may participate in more than 24 matches during the school season. Any participation in a match in a contest shall count towards a 24-match season limitation. Please do not permit girls to bowl back and forth between a boys and girls team during the season. This is simply not permitted. Not permitted. Again, look at this in the bowling sports regulations and then your coach's manual. There is a lot of confusion when it comes to girls bowling on a boys team. So the first thing to note in regard to girls participating on a boys team is whether your school actually sponsors both boys bowling and girls bowling. If your school sponsors both boys and girls bowling and there is enough girls to field a girls team and you have a girls team, you must have a separate boys schedule and a separate girls schedule, and you cannot permit the girls to go back and forth. Now, if a girl chooses to bowl on the boys team when there's a girls team, that girl is a permanent member of the boys team, even during the state tournament. The only time that girls can bowl on a boys team and enter the girls state tournament is when you sponsor girls bowling but don't have enough individuals to field a girls team where you can do a separate girls tournament. You may then permit the girls to bowl as members of the boys team, and then because you have 4 or less girls, those 4 can enter the state tournament as individual girls. So again, let your athletic administrator assist you with this because the same thing happens in boys and girls golf. So let's talk about students who go back and forth between JV bowling and varsity bowling. The match in which the student first competes, whether it's non-varsity or varsity, must have concluded prior to the student bowling in the next match. So if a student is a JV, the JV contest must have concluded, and if you want that student to bowl in varsity, the JV must have concluded before they go down the lanes and bowl in the varsity match. And I do use the words match and contest interchangeably. Bowling a frame in any game shall constitute a match or contest towards the 24 contest limitation. Bowling a frame in any game shall constitute a match toward the student's 24 contest limitation. Contact your school AD as to what is permissible in regard to the girls bowling on a boys team, because that is very important.
I know I just presented quite a bit of information that was not actually included on the slide, but I do want to highlight the importance of understanding what it means when a girl participates on a boys team and what it means to actually sanction girls bowling and boys bowling. So you may want to go back to that slide, simply close your eyes and listen to the information. Regarding COVID-19 and participation limitations, if the governor's office decides that students may not participate in more than one contest per day against a different opponent, this rule will be adjusted accordingly, which means that if you have an opponent for varsity and you have a JV contest at the same time, and that's not the same school, then the student may not be able to go back and forth, because the governor at times believes that there will be cross-contamination, maybe cross-contamination, and there was concern about that in the fall. So if the governor's office decides that students may not participate in more than one contest per day against a different opponent, this rule may be adjusted accordingly. So if you have a contest against school A and school B and they're at different times, the same students may not be able to participate against school A and school B in the same day or on the same day.
I want to continue to communicate information about girls bowling on a boys team. Let's say a member school loses 2 boy bowlers because they become scholastically ineligible during the season. The coach permits 2 girls who had been bowling with the girls team to bowl with the boys team during a tournament to fill the boys roster. Is this permitted? Absolutely not, and it did occur. The coach permitted 2 girls who had been bowling with the girls team to bowl with the boys team during a tournament to fill the boys roster because he didn't have enough boys bowlers. This is a violation. The match, the tournament, is forfeited, and now you've created eligibility problems for the 2 girls because they cannot bowl on both a boys team and a girls team during the regular season. You are not permitted to move girls back and forth between a girls and boys team. There are no co-ed teams. The OHSAA sponsors boys bowling and it sponsors girls bowling, not co-ed bowling. Girls may participate in a boys team if the overall opportunities are less and the girl simply chooses to bowl on the boys team and not the girls team if you have a girls team. In that instance, the girl is a permanent member of the boys team.
Once again, there are no co-ed teams that participate in OHSAA sports at an OHSAA member school. There are boys teams and girls teams. Bylaw 1.6 team membership addresses girls playing on boys team and boys playing on a girls team. Consult your athletic director.
Practice, practice, practice. Practice in open bowling shall be prohibited at the host center on the day of the match, the day of the contest, prior to official team warm-ups. It is responsibility of the school coach to enforce this prohibition, not the proprietor. It's not the proprietor's responsibility to determine whether a member of your school team is in there bowling prior to team warm-ups. The exception is if there is a physical education class in the facility. Of course, if there's a physical education class and the student is a member of that class, they may bowl. The penalty for such action that is a violation of the practice regulation, the student becomes an ineligible bowler and is prohibited from bowling in a school contest that day. Practice is not permitted for any player while that player is participating in a match. So a player can't go to another lane and start practicing when they're participating in a match. Practice is also not permitted by substitute players, team members on any lane, once competition has begun and warm-ups are over. So a player who has not been participating can't go on another lane and start practicing. A violation of this regulation results in an unsporting conduct penalty, and again, the student is removed for the contest that day and for the next 2 contests in regard to the unsporting conduct penalty. So if a student is assessed an unsporting conduct penalty, that player is disqualified for unsporting conduct during a contest. That student shall be ineligible for all contests for a remainder of that day. In addition, according to OHSAA sports regulations, the player shall be ineligible for all contests at all levels in that sport until 2 regular season tournament contests are played at the same level of the disqualification. So if I get disqualified from a varsity contest, I am disqualified for that day and until 2 more varsity contests have been competed, which means I can't participate in a JV contest until I get my eligibility restored by sitting out the 2 varsity contests.
The information here will vary from just what was presented a year ago. The use of foreign substances. The use of foreign substances apply to bowling balls, bowling shoes, towels, or the use of items that are manufactured to emit a foreign substance, including powder, are prohibited. The use of items manufactured to emit a foreign substance are prohibited. Prohibited items, and this list is not exhaustive, are rosin bags and easy slide. Exceptions: puff balls that are not manufactured to emit a foreign substance are permitted. You know, every object has dust or some other foreign substance. So the key here is that the object not be manufactured to emit a foreign substance. A dry towel along with an approved cleaning agent, which is rubbing alcohol as an approved cleaning agent. A dry towel along with an approved cleaning agent may be used to clean a bowling ball once competition has begun. And obviously competition begins when scoring begins. This is a change from the 2019-20 school year when USBC, the Bowling Congress, indicated that only a dry towel was permitted to clean a bowling ball. But because of COVID-19, once again, you can use rubbing alcohol to clean foreign substances from a bowling ball. So an important revision for this 2020-21 school year due to COVID-19 is that the United States Bowling Congress has revised the rule that was effective August 1st, 2019 of last year, which permitted only a dry towel to be used to clean bowling balls during competition. Now, for this school year, due to health concerns, USBC has approved cleaning agents to be permitted to clean a bowling ball. The cleaning agent most prominently used is rubbing alcohol. There may be some agent that is developed during this pandemic that also can be used, but currently rubbing alcohol may be used in order to clean a bowling ball during competition, along with a dry towel.
Foreign substances continued. A product called Control Grip is not permissible for bowlers to use. This product is a non-toxic powder, so Control Grip is not permissible. Now, a product called Dry Hands is permitted, and I have a sample of that product included in this slide. Different than foreign substances is altering the ball. Altering the ball's surface. A bowling ball surface may not be altered once competition has started. And again, competition is when scoring begins. A bowling ball surface may not be altered once competition has started for the remainder of the event. Competition is defined as when scoring begins. All bowling balls so altered must be removed from competition. And the penalty for altering a ball surface is the altered ball shall be removed from competition for each frame or part of a frame bowled in which the altered ball was used. A score of 0 shall be applied. The frame does not have to have concluded for the score of 0 to apply. And this is also true with the penalty for foreign substances. Again, the penalties. The use of foreign substance penalty. For each frame bowled or part of a frame, a score of 0 shall be assessed for the frame. Altering the ball surface penalty. The altered ball shall be removed from competition, and for each frame bowled or part of a frame, a score of 0 shall be assessed for the frame.
Please note that balance holes were eliminated effective August 1st, 2020. Balance holes, also referred to as weight holes, will no longer be permitted by USBC or the OHSAA effective August 1st, 2020. That means that all gripping holes must be used on delivery. So if there's 4 holes in a bowling ball, there must be 4 fingers, a finger in each hole. Every gripping hole must be utilized on a bowling ball effective August 1st, 2020. This rule especially will affect two-handed bowlers, as there has to be digits, there has to be fingers within the holes on a bowling ball.
Uniforms, uniforms, uniforms. Please educate your team members and also yourself in regard to uniform requirements. Do not permit students to wear uniforms that do not conform to good taste. Uniforms should not be too tight, should not be too short, and should not sag. All players, all students who participate in interscholastic bowling on a member school team must wear the same type of sleeved bowling shirt which conforms to school and OHSAA regulations. It is not necessary for the bowling shirt to have a collar, but it must have sleeves. No jeans of any color or cotton sweatpants. No leggings, no jeggings, no Zubaz pants. Nylon warm-ups, if worn, must be worn by every member of the team. The name of the school or the school nickname or the school initials are required to be on back of the uniform shirt. We have to be able to identify the school team from what is indicated on the back of the school shirt. So you have to have the school name, the school nickname, or school initials on the back. Do not put other information on the back that is inappropriate. Girls can wear skirts and or shorts or pants, and their uniforms can be mixed. So it does not mean that all girls must wear shorts if one girl wears a short. And the shorts cannot be too short. Look at your coach's manual. See the complete text of uniform regulations in the coach's manual. Again, inform your bowlers of these requirements and make sure that your bowlers are properly uniformed. We had teams get all the way to the sectional tournament and had no name on the back of the uniform, or had only the individual's name on the back of the uniform. Please, 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 you must conform to the uniform requirement.
Uniforms, at a minimum, must have the name of the school or the school nickname, such as Little Giants, or a school mascot symbol, such as the Little Giant, on the back of the uniform shirt. All black bottoms only. At a minimum, all school uniforms must have the name of the school or the school nickname, official nickname, or the school mascot symbol on the back of the uniform shirt. Only black bottoms are permitted. Shorts, skirts, slacks. There have been issues with member schools not being properly attired. I don't know how a school team can go all the way to the sectional tournament having had an illegal uniform the entire season. You must have the name of the school nickname or school mascot symbol or school initials prominently displayed on the back of the uniform shirt. This information is included in your coach's manual. You need to be properly attired. You may not participate with only the student's name on the back of the uniform shirt.
Let's continue with uniforms. Cargo or painter pants are not permitted. And these are the pants with pockets down the side of the legs. These are not permitted. Yoga pants are not permitted. Manufacturers' logos, things like Nike, Adidas. Manufacturer logos are permitted, but there are size restrictions, and these size restrictions are included in the bowling sports regs, so see your coach's manual. Bowling center logos are not permitted. Uniforms are not permitted to have any bowling center logos anywhere on the uniform. The shirts, the pants, anywhere. Bowling center logos are not permitted, nor are sponsor logos. Sponsor logos, if you have a sponsor for your team, a pizza place, it is not permitted to put that logo, those logos on your uniform. Symbols that do not represent a bowling ball or school mascot, etc., are not permitted. One United States flag of the appropriate dimension is permitted on the uniform. One United States flag of the appropriate dimension is permitted on the school uniform. This is an impermissible uniform. These are zebra or Zubaz pants. This uniform and nothing similar to this uniform is permitted. Have I stressed yet that being in the proper uniform is important? As a coach of a member school team, please exercise good judgment when selecting team individual uniforms. If you permit one of your bowlers to travel to the sectional, district, and/or state tournament with a parent or other individual, make sure that the bowler is aware of the uniform requirement and restrictions. No bowler can participate in a school contest without a school representative present. School representative. No team or individual entry will be permitted to compete in a contest, any school contest, unless accompanied by a coach or a person authorized by the Board of Education or similar governing body of a non-public school. Bowlers must be accompanied by an appropriate person authorized by the member school's governing board. Do not leave your school team individual at a contest unaccompanied by a coach or other individual authorized by the Board of Education.
Currently, and I'm speaking of October 11, 2020, currently spectators are permitted, but they've never been permitted in the bowling area where team members are seated, nor are spectators permitted to converse with participants once pre-match practice or pre-match practice before a contest begins. Coaches share responsibility for the conduct of their bowlers and their fans. Noisemakers are not permitted at any time during a match involving member schools. As it relates to spectators during this pandemic, spectators may not be permitted or their attendance may be limited in accordance with the safety measures implemented. So you will have to continue to pay particular attention to the spectator policy as it relates to bowling during this pandemic, because during this pandemic, spectators may not be permitted or their attendance may be limited in accordance with the safety measures implemented by the Departments of Health and the Governor's Office.
Items that are prohibited. Alcohol is prohibited. Smoking is prohibited. Coolers and outside food is prohibited at OHSAA tournament events. And if a proprietor of a bowling center in which you bowl also prohibits coolers and outside food, please do not bring those items into the bowling center. School banners, school pennants, shakers, balloons, flowers, etc. are not permitted at OHSAA bowling tournaments. Fatheads, those photo fans that have photos of the bowlers on the fans, are not permitted. Bowling centers depend on revenue from the sale of food and beverages, so please be respectful of bowling center policies in regard to prohibited items, but these items are prohibited at the site of all contests involving member school teams. Alcohol, smoking, prohibited. Coolers and outside food is prohibited at OHSAA tournaments and events. School banners, pennants, shakers, balloons, flowers, etc. And this list is not exhaustive. These items are not permitted at OHSAA bowling tournaments. Fatheads, photo fans are not permitted. Now we've almost come to the conclusion of the season, and it's tournament time. The tournament format. There's a sectional tournament, district tournament, and state tournament. The state tournament consists of 16 teams that will advance to the state tournament and also 16 individuals that advance. The top 8 teams after the regular games and Baker games, the top 8 will advance to the Baker format finals. Again, individuals are 16 individuals that advance that are not part of advancing teams that advance to the state tournament. The highest pin count total after 3 games, whether the individual is a member of a school team or bowling as an individual, the highest pin count total after 3 games will determine the individual state champion, the individual runner-up, and the next few places. Both bowlers who advance as part of a team and individual bowlers vie for the individual title. If you should fail to appear at an OHSAA tournament, whether it's the sectional, district, or state tournament, if a team or individual participant fails to appear or is not ready to compete at the time of their scheduled competition, so if you're a girl bowler and you don't appear at the time of the girls tournament, that's your scheduled competition, the team or the individual participant who fails to appear shall be disqualified and removed from the event or tournament competition. If a team or individual participant fails to appear or is not ready to compete at the time of their scheduled competition, the team or individual participant shall be disqualified and removed from the event or tournament competition. The boys and girls tournaments are separate events, and a team or individual must be present for their respective scheduled events. Now, there is a time when we may have to have a contingency. So the OHSAA, in collaboration with the administrative staff, the district athletic board and/or board of directors, and the tournament manager may delay or reschedule a tournament contest competition, provided it is practical to delay or reschedule such contest competitions. Remember, more than one school is involved, and this is not like the basketball tournament where only 2 teams participate. There are a lot of individuals and teams that are involved in these tournament contests. So the OHSAA, in collaboration with the administrative staff, district athletic board and/or board of directors, and the tournament manager, may delay or reschedule a tournament contest competition, provided it is practical to delay or reschedule such contests or competitions. Always check the OHSAA website or with your tournament manager if there is inclement weather. Have your tournament manager contact with you. You want to check with the current tournament manager in regard to changes, delays in regard to your respective tournament. Again, keep your tournament manager contact information with you. This is a reminder of the necessity of interscholastic contests, including interscholastic tournaments, to be under the supervision of a member school coach and/or administrator. It is recommended that a coach administrator of a member school that utilizes a bowling facility be assigned the responsibility of site director manager. Assign direct supervision of matches of contests to the home school coach or one of the coaches whose team utilizes a facility. You as a certified coach should be knowledgeable as it relates to concussion management. Any student who exhibits signs of a concussion should be removed from the contest. Bowling does not have certified officials like other sports, so please consult with your athletic director regarding the OHSAA concussion policy. And again, you should be aware of that policy as a certified coach in regard to the Ohio Department of Education's requirements. The concussion policy is also available on the OHSAA website under the sports management page. When in doubt, keep the student out. Report all suspected concussions to your athletic director. Sportsmanship, sportsmanship, sportsmanship. Who knew that sportsmanship could be an issue at bowling contests? Good sportsmanship should be a priority in all school competition. Competitors are friendly rivals of opposing teams. Rooting, cheering for your school team at the time your school team is on the approach and ready to bowl is appropriate. Rooting, cheering loudly while your opponent is on the approach preparing to bowl is not appropriate. Nor is impeding a bowler's ability to get to his or her bowling ball and to their position on the lane. Rooting, cheering loudly while your opponent is on the approach preparing to bowl is not appropriate, nor is impeding a bowler's ability to get to his or her bowling ball and to their position on the lane. The OHSAA office has received many complaints about unsporting behavior at bowling events. Please make good sportsmanship a priority. Make good sportsmanship a priority. It is your responsibility as a coach to model and teach good sporting behavior. Talk to your fans about good sporting behavior.
The bowling ball, bowling bag requirement, if you will, has been revised and amended during this pandemic. For safety purposes and because of facility size capacity, bowlers must restrict the number of bowling balls brought into the facility at one time to 3 per bowler. With the number of spectators and participants, there exists a safety issue at all times, irrespective of the pandemic, but especially in regard to the cross-contamination and the number of things brought into the facility by bowlers. It's going to be a safety issue when bowlers bring an excessive number of ball bags and bowling balls into the facility. COVID concerns have also created a need to restrict equipment brought into a facility. COVID concerns have also created a need to restrict equipment brought into a facility, and this is in regard to all sports. Limit each of your bowlers to 3 bowling balls and 1 3-ball roller bag. At the OHSAA postseason tournament, this ball restriction will also be enforced. Of course, a bowler is permitted to bring fewer balls or totes. At the OHSAA tournament, and this includes all levels, sectional, district, and state, the OHSAA and the tournament manager reserves the right to further restrict the number of bowling balls and or bags. The tournament manager may dictate the number of bowling balls and bags that may enter the bowling facility. The tournament manager may dictate that. You and your school team or your individuals that advance must adhere to what has been determined. Please respect the safety and the comfort of participants and spectators.
Again, the tournament manager can and may restrict the number of bowling balls and also determine where the balls will be stored during the tournament. You must adhere to what the tournament manager has determined in regard to the number of bowling balls and bowling bags permitted. Coach's Manual. The Coach's Manual has not been mailed to respective member schools for some time. So you have to go to the bowling page at www.ohsaa.org, and the manual's on the left-hand side. So you would go to the website, click on under Sports Tournaments, click on Bowling, and the manual's on the left-hand side. Please refer to the OHSAA website regarding State of Ohio coaching requirements, and that's under Coach's Corner. Or see your athletic administrator. You should not be coaching interscholastic sports, any sport, without the proper credentials certified by the Ohio Department of Education.
To repeat, the OHSAA bowling page contains information about interscholastic bowling, and will have information in regard to updates as it pertains to COVID. www.ohsaa.org, under the sports link, click on bowling. The coach's manual and tournament information, after approval by the board of directors, the tournament information, can be located on this page, the bowling page. The non-interscholastic bowling waiver form is on the OHSAA bowling page. Here is a link to updated COVID information, which appears on the OHSAA front page. Now, if you have questions regarding interscholastic bowling, you should first contact your school's athletic director. Then, if that individual is unable to answer your question, the athletic director may contact the OHSAA on your behalf, or you may email the bowling administrator. I wish you a very safe and enjoyable bowling season. Please do not call our office to determine whether you received credit for viewing. You can check your myOHSAA account, and you should have a myOHSAA account in order to view this meeting, but you can check your myOHSAA account in regards to viewing credit. If you need assistance, reach out to your athletic director. If you reach out to someone at the OHSAA because you did view the meeting in its entirety and you still are not receiving credit, you must print the slide that contains the OHSAA bowling page showing an arrow to the waiver form, and also the slide that shows Zumba pants are not permissible as part of the uniform requirements. Have those two printed slides available. Again, have a safe and a great bowling season.